So my first Christmas album, it's important for me to touch upon all those special little things that I hold in my heart, from traditions I experienced in my childhood and Christmases of years past spent with my family in Greece, my motherland, to new beautiful stories found embedded into Christmases I went on to have in other countries like England, where I was for some time, and of course my new home in Germany, where I'm currently very nicely settled. The first years away from my country, the country that I was born in, I found myself initiating and holding some of those traditions from my motherland myself. As you know, now I was the one responsible for the order of things in my own home. I guess I'm coming more and more to find that sweet spot between upholding and honoring both my old and my new traditions. I found myself establishing new traditions that I came up with myself, or borrowed them from other belief systems beyond the Christian faith, which is what I had known always to be the main thing around Christmas. And because I was also born into a Christian family, like Christmas we would go to church and stuff, but I have since many years deviated a lot from that, and so I became more open to also embracing customs beyond the ones found within the Christian faith, like those pagan and traditional folk customs, when nature plays such an important role during the holidays, and where the focus is to enjoy and honor nature and bring as much of it into our homes as possible. The Fae folk and the Christmas goblins and other entities of the Greek folklore and beyond, this has always been so intriguing to me since I was a child. My family owns a cottage home in the middle of the mountains on an island, and the house was always surrounded by woodland, and there was so much mystery and intrigue in that for me, just thinking about what kind of creatures could be moving in the dark and in the shadows in the forest out there while we are tucked into our beds in the warmth of the big house. We would coil under our blankets as kids while my father would prepare the big fireplace and roast chestnuts, and the fireplace is my father's domain. All through the year, the man would go out and gather the wood, and for example, my grandfather and my father, they would stack the wood on piles and build structures around it to make sure it stays dry, and that's how you had wood when winter came. My grandparents, they had their own customs because this side of the family was coming from the islands, where, for example, the people would decorate a ship for Christmas instead of a Christmas tree. And so you understand that the cultural stimuli I received was so rich and so varied and so culturally open, yet sacred and deeply grounded into daily life rituals. Christmas has always been a time of warmth and of coming together with the family through the good and the bad times. As a family, we have had some fantastic times, but we had also quite some challenges we had to navigate through. And yet this coming together was always prioritized and held as an important part of the Christmas celebrations. Like, no matter our differences or what happened or whatever words we exchanged, we're putting that aside now, and we're sitting around the same table. The feminine energy, the hearth, the home, the warmth, the nurturing, and the nourishment during the holiday is very central to me. I was able to experience very strong female figures within my family. My mother would shake us all up to decorate the whole place, and she's just like a hurricane, doing all that with us and baking pies and cakes and keeping us warm and making clothes for us and running out on the mountains with us children to collect wood for the cooking oven. We also had those traditional stoves, and we would cook everything there, and you needed to go out and get wood for that. So as kids, we would sometimes play with that. We would go and collect twigs and little things just to feel like we are participating in this. It just felt so adventurous. My mother's decoration was everything gold and some reds, and the contrast with the dark green of the Christmas tree and the nature around, it was really everything covered in glitter. And that's how I saw the women in my family working their own magic through their cooking, through their decorations. No wonder I felt like carrying this all forward with me no matter where I went. And quite frankly, it was my intention for years to put all this magic into my Christmas record when I would make one.
So happy, happy Christmas.